Zeis Chukas Hatera Shetzira Hashem. Right? So first it says Chukas Hatera. So a Shiva learned Shat, whenever it says that, there's only in one other place. In that place I don't remember the answer, but that's by in Parshas Matis when they brought all the stuff from the Goyim, they had to be tabled or kashed. And there also says Zeis Chukas Hatera. But anyway, here it says Zeis Chukas Hatera, that it means the whole Torah is the same way. Where's the camera? Oh, I'm talking to the mission. Zeis Chukas Hatera, yeah. That the Torah, this represents the whole Torah. What's the whole Torah? What do we learn out from Torah Duma? One of the things we learn out is that the Torah is contradictory. What do you mean Torah is contradictory? Is covered a good thing or a bad thing? Ask me, what do you think? You don't know. You're a good thing, okay. You're right. It's a good thing. But for myself, I don't want it. Why don't I want it? Because if I get used to it and want it, then I'm going to do things to get it, which maybe I shouldn't do. So therefore, it's not a good thing, and therefore for myself, I don't want it.
Why do we daven for the Shabbos Mevorachim?
Yeah. What do we daven?
No?
Huh?
It's the Oisha and Kavod.
Yeah, so what do you do about Oisha? Why you ask me only on cover? I don't know if you guys heard the Kashi, but yes, so how come you misspell for covered? If it's for yourself, you don't want it, and yet you misspell for it. So what does it mean for? It means it's a misspell because I don't know if I can do it without Oisha and Kavod. Avada I should do it without Oisha and Kavod. That's not the important thing. Keep talking to that. You should do it without Oisha and Kavod. But sometimes a person can't. In other words, if I'm poor, I don't have that mut to go in and do Avodas Hashem. The thing is, I'm asking you to give me what I need. If I don't need it, you don't have to give it to me. But on the other point, if I don't need it, you can give it to me, so it doesn't make a difference, right? So at least if I don't have anoya, my kids will have anoya. What will they have anoya? Make them go and oblige by learning or something like that. Thing there. Well, if they have to suffer, a big deal. And you have this with younger light, unfortunately, that if your kids are limited in what they think is what everybody else has, like the cell phones immediately, and the cell phones, the hobbits are. The iPhone is, why? Because all my kids in my class have, one guy maybe. But it always goes, all the kids in my class, right? So we're talking about if you feel mitzumtzum, we can't afford it. If you use a lotion that constantly, we can't afford it. Use that lotion, can't afford it. I don't want to be in this life. So all of us, we have different value systems. To us, this is not an important thing. We have more important things to spend our money on. Whatever it is, then it's a different thing. But then the kid has to get a value system to understand what it is that you're spending your money on. It's not the thing that, not like Pshat we're so poor we can't even eat. So we can't even eat. So who wants to be such a person, right? So that's why you have to be very careful. On the other hand, you'll find certain kids will be dafki. I want to follow what my father does. I want to starve also. I mean, good, exactly. But for other people, I have to give them the full kavod that they deserve. Let me say, a normal zach, I don't want to do this because I don't want to be machshel him. Because by giving him kavod, he's going to like it, and he's going to become balgaivanik because of it. So therefore, I'm going to do him a favor, I'm not going to give him any kavod. Right? So that you can't do. Same thing goes.
I'll practice it, right? But not for you, but for someone else.
Not for the other guy, right? You have money, the same thing. For yourself, you should be a vatral. Now, when someone took money from you, stole from you, you should not be makbid on it. I can't help myself, I can't help myself. We're not talking about that. We're talking about what madrega I'm aiming to get to. The pshat is, the guy did me an avla, supposedly the story with the Chofetz Chaim, if it's true or not. I don't know. The reason I have hesitations about it is because it didn't belong to him, it belongs to his wife. And let's say they get divorced and stuff like that, the leichters go with her, not with him. So how do you give away my leichter? Okay, so I'm not getting involved in that. That's why I don't know if the story's ever seen that. But the idea of the story was that when the guy stole his leichter, he screamed out, remember, get a good price for it because it's real silver. So what are you telling that to me? You know, I mean, I'm meichel you ready for the student. I don't want you to be nenish because you stole from me. So, okay, so it's a nice thing you want to do. If you can reach such madrega, it's fantastic. But l'mais, it's a shver zach. On the other hand, for Yanum, is you have to call anekel pruta mechaveler ki'ilu nekel nafshay. When you killed him, yeah, because when you pruta, what are you talking about? So obviously, the hechetimtze is a shvera hechetimtze, but it is a hechetimtze. Simply, is exera and Hashemayim how much money you're going to make this year. That's the mitzvahs, right? Is this the last prute of the money I'm going to make this year? And if it is, I got another 6 months to go. So you're going to kill me by taking it away from me. Shabbos, what are you going to buy with a prute anyway? That's the question you're going to ask me. So once upon a time, you could buy with a prute. Now, what I can't answer the question. But, would it now become mutter? It doesn't become mutter to take a prute. It's still keich hashavim, meaning you take a penny from someone, that's more than prute. So there's no limit hashav on it because it has no value. So it's not so poshut. That's a thing. I can't say chubur now. That's a big thing, Taki. The Shach, Mishem L'Sma, says it in two places, that the definition of a prute is the lowest coin you can buy something with. Understand? So in Eretz Yisrael, that will be Yochalapochas, a Chatzi Shekel. And therefore, you need to be paid to something, you need a Chatzi Shekel. And in Eretz Yisrael, they don't do that. They do that as a Shavah Prute, which they hold, I don't know how many aguras they are, but 10 aguras, 5 aguras, 3 aguras, whatever they have there. I think it's 3 aguras, but I'm not sure. And they paid on that. Hey, you paid with paper money anyway, so what's the difference? You can have yourself a 200 shekel thing over there, you do 400 redemptions, and then you pay the bill, and then that's how you do it there. You pay the bill on a Chatzi Shekel, which is on the prute, and you only got down to 399 on the second shot around, that's all. And you keep doing that forever and ever. And I think that, so we have a guy, we mentioned him on the thing here, that supposedly does this every day in Yerushalayim. It's paid all the Ma'aser Sheni that's in Yerushalayim. Whatever it is there, and we even have a guy here that does it here. I don't know how good it works over here. Like it's maybe like you go into your grocery store, you're gonna buy Israeli products. They're not nib there from what do you call it? From when they come out with the helsh and everything else, and they're not nekayim the sma and the shach. When you want to hold the gar holds like that. The gar didn't see it in the gar either. But even if you want to hold smachlekes, so it's a pity. If you're being machmi, you might as well be machmi for the sma and the shach, especially if it doesn't cost you anything. If it costs you something, okay, here, I don't want to go to chuppah. But if it doesn't cost me in the same albit, and it doesn't change anything in my work, why not? Oh, we're going to pass on the go. We show that Allah is like the go. So therefore, we're not going to be machmir. Okay, good. I did it. That's such an Indian. I can't answer you. Okay, that's the council of Chukas HaTorah. Now, it means that really you have to end up learning how to do both kinds of the Torah. In other words, this is the whole point of chinuch and stuff like that. When do you give a patch? When do you give a yell? Now you don't give patch anymore because they'll arrest you for it. But you give a yell, you can still give a yell. They don't put you away for that yet. So you yell. But when do you do that? If you're always yelling, it's not going to help. Because they're important, so you have to learn. You have to learn what's important, what's not important, and when to learn to spin the cases. Now, each person will be different in that. That's no shayla about it, But at least you know how to balance a little bit, so you can go for whatever you hold your wall and your kid is, or whatever it is there. But this is the same thing goes with merachik b'yamin and mikal b'shmar. In other words, the kid did wrong. So you have to merachik him. So you do that with the right hand, but the left hand is always there to bring you back. So in other words, you didn't lose the guy. But if you merachik b'shtei yadayim, then all of a sudden the guy's lost. He has nothing to rely on. So therefore, when you yell, you got to yell in a way that the kid knows that I'm not throwing you out. I'm just yelling at you because I think you did an avla. But that has nothing to do with rejecting you. You're not rejected because you have an avla. Now, Rashi talks about the concept of Chukas HaTorah. He says Chukas HaTorah means Chukas HaTorah. He says that because the goyim, the Sotan and the Umis, and then my glass, the Sotan and the Umis make fun of the Yidden that they what's the purpose of the mitzvah? What's the purpose of the mitzvah? What's the what do you call it? What's the purpose of the mitzvah and so on? What do you mean makes fun of? I believe everybody does this. The goyim do this all the time. What do you mean the goyim do it all the time? Let's say we go through. A guy and a husband and wife had a big fight, right? And the husband wants to ibabet the wife, wants to make nice to her. So he's got to give her something nice. Got to something bad. He goes out to a real florist, not to go into Costco and you buy whatever you got over there. You're going into a florist. And you want 24 long-stemmed red roses. Right? Costs you a couple $100. It comes in a box like this, long-stemmed. And he brings it home to his wife, and his wife sees them and she starts crying. And I'm moichel you, and whatever, and I love you, and all the other stuff that goes with it. And now what are we going to do with them? We're going to find a vase to put them in. Can't find a vase. Who can hold these things? The vase I got is this tall. Put these in today, it's going to plop all over the place. So finally, you got a garbage pail or something. And I happen to use this mushroom by my great-granddaughter's Shabbat Brachas. And so they came and they brought flowers. They from the floor stack it. That was a small one. And it came in a Pringles can. Yeah. But I mean, you don't have such things. Okay, I finally found something. Where are we going to put it? You put it on the kitchen table. We eat in the kitchen table all the time, and there's not enough room to put this on the table and everything there, and it gets hot in the kitchen. It gets this. let's put it in the dining room. But no, but we don't eat in the dining room. We don't go in them. But we'll get there Shabbos. Meanwhile, she maybe passes through there once or twice a day to see the flowers. And now comes Shabbos, we're all finally coming down to eat with the flower, and everyone going to see my roses, my this thing. And we sit down, and one guy says, can we take the flowers off the table? We can't see you. So they take the flowers off the table. And then 2 days after Shabbos, they start to rot, and then it starts to smell, and all of a sudden, I get rid of it. So for $200, what a noy that I have in life from the flowers. I saw them a few times, and something there. And they didn't have the grace I know I expected to have. Isn't it better if I would have bought something that's a Dovisha Kayome, whatever it is, a good oak can opener, whatever it is, not an electric one, a good can opener, a good bottle opener, a good something that would cost me a buck, but at least it's around. It doesn't only last for a few days, right? And yet, the world doesn't do it. So why don't we make fun of them? You guys are crazy. Right? All of us. The point of buying flowers, first of all, it's nice. And she likes it because we say it's nice. It look nice, that's true. But for look, a lot of things look nice. I don't still want to pay $200 for it. But what it means to say is that I love you so much, I'm willing to waste money to please you. This pleases you, I'm going to waste money to please you. So the Rebbeinu comes along and says to us, you want to please me? Give me a paraduma. Okay, paraduma costs what? $1 billion. Okay, chip in and get me $1 billion. That's your problem. And that shows Avos Hashem. You'll get to, by doing this Ma'aseh, it shows love of God, and it's an action of love, and therefore it enters you, the Avos Hashem. Do we have anything? So then it's a very important thing, right? So then what do we have that would serve its purpose with Manazeh? I would say it's the esrik. To have a kosher esrik mahudel, understand the word mahudel in there? Probably $10. Lulav mahudel, $5. Dasim mahudel. You may get kosher ones first. That's the problem. And then you get worried about mahudel. But I'm saying, but the thing that's $5, $10. So why is a guy spending a couple $100 on a single? Because I want to show that I'm out of the mitzvah. I got a mitzvah. I'm going to spend some money on that mitzvah to show God I love Him. And so we do it. Now the reason that I said $10, I said $10, $10. If you take a look, they advertise before Sukkot, you'll see they advertise even $6 in esrik for what do you call kosher esrogim. It's not something that will be what do you sort of think about? It'll be small. It'll be what do you call? The shiur of hidur is 1/3 of the price. So I get it for $6, so it should be $2 more. So for $8, I should be able to get away with it. Right? A lulav already is El Arish, right? So that El Arish, they don't even bother giving you anymore. Everything is whether a dairy, whether it's a baby dairy, a big dairy, is a grandfather dairy. So then there is nothing there, but they're all dairies. What happened to El Arish? Where did they disappear to? And then what about the Hadassim? You have this guy's shiur, then you got this guy's shiur of Reuven, this guy's shiur of Ho, this guy's shiur has an initial shiur of Reuven, and what he calls an initial side of Kol. It's about $35 you got there now. The Madrigas went up. Okay. Okay. Saying the ones, what's his name, Moshe Meir, the smallest shiur. So him, it could be your time the Chazon Ish holds his puzzle. It's not the Shiur. Okay, good. I want to mark the Chazon Ish. But why so expensive? I mean, what happened with us? I buy the best. I buy the best. What's called the best, I already have different people. In other words, one guy likes the shape for the best. One guy likes the cleanliness is best. That's already what you call best. That's your business. But it still needs only for best. Now, we'll talk about other chukim, which is not again until we get to more chukim and stuff. But this is the chayk of Avas Hashem.
So why does the Satan laugh at us?
I'm sorry?
So why does this guy laugh at us if it's an old thing?
Answer the question, right? To the point. So why are they going laughing at us? That's what I asked. Like, they do it themselves. So what are you laughing at us for? The reason laughing at us for is when do we have to buy a Torah Duma? The Ma'aseh in the Gemara of Dama ben Esina, right? What's the story? The Chacham came to Dama ben Esina, who was a goy in Ashkelon, one of the Greek Roman senators. They came to him, and why they needed the stone to the Choshen, I don't know, but one stone got lost, and the stone was 300 something, whatever it is there, an awesome amount of profit that's in that stone. Okay, and he had the stone, but the key to the stone, where the stone lay, was under his father's feet or head, whatever it is, and his father was asleep, and he didn't want to wake up his father. Now I have a shiur, I'm not telling it to you now, and I don't even remember all of it. Wouldn't the father get very upset if you gave up a deal of $100 because you didn't want to wake me up? So in other words, why was that considered keep it off? But that's a different story. I'm not going into that. That's Kedushin, right? Okay. Yeah. So he's a goy. Then the apostle by a Torah Duma is just putting the weight on the Torah Duma. Once you put a weight on it, it's possible. Whether you need it, the kavanah, not the kavanah, it's possible. So a guy we can't trust that he's not going to do it. If it's a lie anyway, even if he did it, he's going to tell us he didn't do it. So we can't trust the guy. So we got to buy it the day it's born, because that's the only way we can get it. That's to be sure. And Dam ben Esina says to them, I know that the reason Harav ben Adon was born the next year to him, after the Smaisa happened, they bought it from someone else's stone, and he lost that profit. So we told him, I know that Benishim gave me the Torah Duma, so that I did the fact I did keep it over him. So he said, I can ask you for Kol Hain the Alma. So I can ask you for all the money in the world. That means and you'd give it to me because you need the Torah Duma. But I only want the profit I lost. He said, no, then she gave it to me, so therefore I only want the profit I lost in the regular deal. So, and this is interesting. There's a Sfasemis, there's the Kasha. You couldn't find, you have to bring me a raya, the was that Hechen Kibbut over him. Says, I'll bring a Maisa from Nochi Yachad Be'ashkelim Edom and Nesina Shmoy. Like, you have no Jews to bring me a raya from? You got to bring me from a goy, the raya. So he said, so Sasemis says, it's really a shvach for the Yidden, he's saying, not the shvach for the goyim. The goy is saying, for a mitzvah I understand, Kibbut I understand, I owe him everything. Without him I wouldn't be in the world, right? So therefore I understand why I have to give up so much money for it. But for mitzvah I don't understand that I couldn't give up money. And we, on the other hand, even the mitzvah we don't understand, we can go give the money for. Okay, so that's just how it is. Okay, but then now, But as far as we're concerned, that wouldn't answer our question yet. Anyway, so we're saying that you have to buy one as a day old. When does a parah adumah become a parah adumah? It takes 3 years to be a parah from a neighbor, right? So it's going to take 3 years. Okay, remember, I'm sure we all heard about the different parah adumas that were born last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They were around, pretty famous ones, right? Where are they? Obviously, they're not parah adumas anymore. Otherwise, we still be hiking with the Mashiach coming tomorrow. All of us, they're not parah adumas anymore. Why? Because how many have young kid brothers or remember their own hair when they were kids, that when they were born blondes, and what are they now? How did that happen? Right? Same thing, you're born red, you get 2 black hairs, you're puzzled. Of Reuven. Yeah, puzzled. So it doesn't work. So that they don't understand. So good. So, all right. So it's a suffix. I'm pending kol hen the alma on a suffix. I don't know if this ego that's now kosher, right? It's 1 day old that I had to buy for kol hen the alma is going to last till 3 years. So that's already so much money on a suffix that they couldn't even live. At least a Vadai mitzvah, but a suffix mitzvah that they can't understand. Now, could be, why the taka we do, we spell, what's the logic of it? I mean, okay, once bigger Avos Hashem, maybe even for suffix. But I think it's because we have to be talking Kodesh Baruch Hu that he's not going to make a parah adumah unless we need a parah adumah. Because it's such a rarity to happen. So the bench is not going to create. Obviously, bench created it. Yeah. How many paradumas do they have altogether? There's 18, 9, whatever it is, something like that. So how many? Whatever it is, 9. So what did so obviously it wasn't such a push of the zach. I mean, if you went around find up all the paradumas, you wouldn't have got the shortage anyway. Something like that. Obviously. It only comes when we need it. So then that's probably why they always say, well, Mashiach's coming, because why would it be here if we don't need it? Right? And they don't have it, so it wasn't there in the first place. So I say, so why don't you hype it up when it finally gets to 3 years? Wait 3 years, maybe know it could change. 3 years, Mashiach's coming tomorrow. Right? I had a reason for that way. First of all, it doesn't last, we said, but you have to have some preparation time. I mean,
Could it be because they're too excited?
Huh?
Could it be so because they're so excited?
So,
And they found it, so they pipe up and everything.
sort of hype, yeah.
So they pipe up because they're so excited that they found
The paradigm. So it's good, you're saying.
You say why they don't wait 3 years.
Oh, I mean, I understand that, but if you know that may not last, so why are you getting everyone excited about it? It's not going to happen. It may not happen, If it may not happen, then all of a sudden it's a big letdown. So it's not question. There was a school in 1967, Beis Yankiv of sorts. I don't think it was a Beis Yankiv, it was a girls' school. And right after they captured everything else. So now Mashiach's coming. So on this day, maybe a Sunday I think it was, everyone should come dressed in white dresses to greet Mashiach. And Mashiach didn't come. What happened to those kids? I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. But I remember I asked the Kashi right away when they told me the story, and that was back in '67. And I think they were like, what happened to these kids? My teachers prepared me. They told me Mashiach's coming, and I didn't come. So it's a big danger to tell, put up the hype and stuff like that. But then they made a lot of things. They brought rice from His Shyness, and then they have, it says, Shkimul Shoyes. What Shkimul Shoyes mean? A war of 3 hours. This was a war of 3 days. So it wasn't really 6 days. It was really a 3-day war, because they preempted, and they what? And they already, the battle was over. Everyone knew they won already. By the 3rd day. So it was a 3-day war. A 3-day war. And then next was going to be a 3-hour war. And this was the talk in the street. Everybody knew that. Boy, the Shiur's coming tomorrow. What's the shame?
You don't have to do anything?
Huh?
You don't have to do anything, he's just coming?
I have no idea. If he comes and we're not ready, what happens to us? We don't make it. That's what you had to read. That's what it says. They took it after of Shabbos HaGadol, and you'll see it.
What does it mean exactly? Like it? What do you mean if you are prepared?
You unprepared?
Whoever said if something not ready,
You won't
then
make it.
What do you mean not ready?
You'll be destroyed.
What does it mean the other person isn't ready?
Good question. You learned Chamushim Olum Yeltz Mitzrayim. Whatever Chamushim means. Obviously, the maximum of Chamushim is 20%. That's the maximum when was out of Mitzrayim is 20% of Klal Yisrael. The other 80% died in Mitzrayim. According to some, it was 0.2%. 0.02% maybe even. One is and then there's one that holds that only 1 out of 600,000 went out of Mitzrayim. Okay, now you know how many people went out of Mitzrayim. So what a big Amon Klal Yisrael was, right? Okay. About what does it mean? What did happen to them? They all died. We buried them all. And so the next guy you're going to ask me is, how come the Mitzrayim didn't see that so many Jews are missing? Because they have no place that high in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is flat land. So you don't see the forest because of the trees. You know what that means? It means I can't see how far the forest goes because I can't see past the first level of trees. So therefore, the Jews are standing in front of them. I don't know how far back they go. So therefore, he assumes they're all there. And they say, no.
According to the sheet that it's according to the sheet that it's 1 in 600,000.
They still had 600,000 that went out.
And it means that in 3 days, every single person buried 600,000 people.
Or they died themselves, and buried them. Who knows what happened? I mean, they're asking me kashas that I have no ideas about. Okay? So what about Zay State though? The Chamushim Olu means 1 in 20, 1/5 of Klal Yisrael now. What made them royu and not royu to go out? I assume it means if they were waiting for the Gula. How many of us are waiting for the Gula? What do you mean? We're waiting for the Gula, right? Okay. Pretend the present administration or the atmosphere of the United States wasn't as it was today. Go back 5 years, right? And we're all in a great, what do you call it? We're doing great. How many are looking for Mashiach? Or if I think they found it. I'm here. I'm learning Torah. I got a yeshiva. I'm in a kollel. I'm in the town. Everybody's from. I don't need Mashiach. There's a joke, but then the jokes are all very important things because jokes is what you usually laugh at yourself with. So if you have a sense of humor, it works. If you don't have a sense of humor, it's you're able to make kabbalah mussar that way. That as the story that a couple got out of the concentration camps. They got married in the EP camps, came to America, and they had no money at all, and they opened up a little grocery store. And for that little grocery store, he was smart. He bought the building, and then he invested in real estate, and he became a big revere. And he owns now many grocery stores. So the husband comes back one day from after Ma'ariv. He said, "Well, you know what the rabbi spoke about today?" He said, "When Mashiach comes, we're really going to go to Israel. We're going to Israel. What's going to be with the businesses? I don't know. I'll have to lose them. What's going to be? We work so hard. How can that happen?" So the guy says, "You know, God saved us from Hitler. He'll save us from Mashiach too." It's not so funny. Think about it. Okay. Then it says, "Vayivoy b'nei Yisrael to Midbatzin, and Miriam dies." So the Rashi says, why is the svichus of Miriam, Mrs. Miriam to Poraduma? To tell you, just like a Poraduma is Netahel, so this is, so is, what do you call Mechabel? What do you call Mrs. Sadikim? Just like a Poraduma, there's Mechapel, it's a Chattis it's called. Mechapel, so this Poraduma is. Poraduma is Mechapel, or the Poraduma is a Hechsher. Poraduma is, am I toy if I have the sprinkling? I got a mikveh yet. It's only a Hechsher. Going to the mikveh without the Poraduma is nothing. But going to the Poraduma itself is also nothing. So it's a Hechsher mitzvah, a Hechsher taiva. So what it's teaching you, Rashi I think says, is that Misa Tzadikim is also only a Hechsher. If you understand what you're talking about, what you're missing, what the Ruchni is part of that's missing, not because of the way she looked and stuff like that. It's always like the Chiva candy and stuff like that. I'm talking about, you understand the Ruchni is that the Bensham that the person gave to the world, then it's shayach that you can be mechaper. But if you don't even have that, you're saying, well, this is an old lady, what do you want? You know, what do you expect to live forever? So obviously that's not going to help you too much. When she died, the Be'er stopped working. And when the Be'er stopped working, people got thirsty. And you will get thirsty, you start complaining. Right? And they seemed to be a big complaint. They jumped on Moshe and Aaron, and he screamed, and they Yorev home, they fought with him. Like, why'd you take us out here? Why we should have died before already? Why are you killing us with that thing there? I mean, normally we saw when they had kindness like that to Moshe Rabbeinu before, Parshas Keyach, and by Meraglin, the Benshim got very angry. And he wanted to kill him out. You don't find the time in Fakert. If you look in the Alkut Shemini, he tells us that the Benishlam came and he said to them, you guys are sitting Shiva, Yosik, and your Avelus, and Bonai need water? My children need water? Go out and get them water. What are Yosik and a private Avelus for? Go out and give them water. So obviously Benishlam was not offended. The challenge, why wasn't he offended? So Parshas, I would say, is that it wasn't that they didn't have any cheson b'tochen in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They knew the Benishlam could do it. They knew Moshe can do it. The question is that right now you guys are in a very specific position. Somehow that doesn't patter you from your leadership position. And because it doesn't patter you from leadership position, we need water. And if you don't understand how much water we need, so we're telling you we're starving over here. We're dying. So there's not any time on them at all. They're just trying to get what they're supposed to get. So when the Ben Shem tells him go out and give him water, so okay, you go out and give him water. But the Ben Shem tells him a very funny thing. Tells him, I want you to go out and I want you to talk to the rock and it should give you water. All right. Okay, they go out. Rashi tells us that they tried talking to the rock. The rock got mixed up with other rocks. Don't ask them what that means. I mean, they assumed the rock was a rock, and they knew it looked like something. It really wasn't that long. Oh yes, it was the whole years. It was 38 years. This is the end already. So they know what the rock looks like, right? So how do they get mixed up? Well, God set up a bunch of similar-looking rocks. Okay. Did you ever hear of a Navi trying to do a tzivui that the Reuven gave him and he should be unsuccessful? It's impossible, right? But for the whole point, the Reuven tells you go do this, and I'm not letting it happen. So what's the yichud? So that's why it's called Nalila. The Reuven was just looking for an excuse to kill Moshe. What was the chet first? So why was Moshe Chayiv Nisa? That Rashi said, that the Chumash says, because of the miracle. Parshas Reuven, Parshas Reuven, it says right in the beginning. Gambias, what is called, the Ben Shalom was angry at Biglalchem because of you. And he told me, you're not going to bring them there. So the Ikar Chet is the miracle. But he didn't do anything wrong by the miracle. He maybe made a misjudgment. He didn't do the right thing by sending them, but he didn't mean to do anything with it. He thought he was doing good, and so why you Chayiv Nisa? Because the time that if Moshe Rabbeinu would have gone in, and so why the Mishkan is not there, in the thing that was buried before, all the things that Moshe made, they can't be destroyed. And therefore, if they can't be destroyed, there's no Golus. So Moshe Rabbeinu will run into Eretz Yisrael, there'll be no Golus. Okay, won't be any Golus, wasn't that wonderful? I mean, a terrific thing. So I think the problem that would be, and that's why he was angry on the Shevet Shimon, even though the guys who didn't do Avodah Zarah, the 18,000, the 22,000 that were left, right, plus 22,200, whatever it is. That's what he made, so they have more than 22,200, whatever, they had 700, whatever, they had 11 more. So they were tzaddikim. So what are they going to do with the fact that 2/3 died out? What are they going to do to them? Except that they gave the Chukas Haaretz was according to how many people went into Eretz Yisrael, how many people went out. It's not so possible like Mamat. I gave little according to Rashi. According to the Rashbam, it's going to be harder because he learns every guy an equal share, an equal size, lands, thing, no matter how many people you have. But Rashi learns goes according to your population. So therefore, they got a small chelik of land just for what they have there. And the Ben Shem does nisim to Klal Yisrael and to anyone that shave it that's down, that he makes them recover very fast. You see, from the time that we were almost wiped out, the Ben Shalom made us, Baruch Hashem, brought us back to a decent number. And the thing that, and who I didn't, he would have done by Shevet Shimon also, like the Yamin, stuff like that. They already were shvatim. They have a lot of kids. Instead of having 3 kids, they'll have 28 kids and whatever it is there, and they'll populate themselves very fast. But if they do that, what are you going to? How much land are they going to have? They're only still stuck in that little piece of land. So you need a new chalukah. If I need a new chalukah, so Moshe can't go in. As simple as that. Well, that's what I said. So that's what we're waiting for, the loss of love, that there be a new chalukah. Yeah. Now, how many Averos did Moshe really do? The Medrash says he did 4 Averos. Because 4, they use the terminology is used four different terminology they used 4 times. Ma'altem, Nerisem, Le'yamantem, and Le'kitshteni. What do they mean? And I think by understanding we'll go Le'yamantem last then. No, that has to be first because that's what he really told him. So we'll have to go with the Mantim first. There's a strange Rashi, it's Gemara really, in the back in Parshas Vayela. Yeah, that says that everything that Moshe did by himself, God did by himself. Anything that he did with a shliach, God did through a shliach. So the food, that the Rebbeinu Shem gave them, slov, the meat, he gave them the meat, and the mun, he himself gave them. The water, he said, Yukach nomat mayim, was given on a shliach, so therefore, the water he gave also the shliach. Okay? It's very nice, Gemara, what he's trying to teach me. You shouldn't send the shliach ever. You're going to halachas, all the things that, what do you mean I shouldn't send the shliach? And why are you asking me a kasha? Didn't the Rebbeinu Shem himself send the shliach? Who did he give the Torah through? Moshe Rabbeinu. He didn't give it by himself. Right? So maybe the first two, the Adibras were by himself, but after that, it's all Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu gave all this. So Moshe Rabbeinu is a good shliach. And he used them to give the water to, and it worked very good. What do you mean? So the Rebbeinu Shem wouldn't have killed him, would have been fantastic. Right? So what do you got to do with the water? And besides, your dimion is not right. Your dimion, you're talking about food which everybody has to have. Right? The water that we're talking about, that he said, Yukach nomat mayim, is talking about washing their feet, not about drinking water. Right? So if it's not about drinking water, so therefore, and if I don't bother me to be dirty, or if I don't bother with it, so it's only what's my kipeda. I don't want you to wear dirty feet in my house because dirty feet is Avodah Zarah, or could be Avodah Zarah. I don't know if he was saying they definitely was Avodah Zarah by the people, but it could be Avodah Zarah. And since it could be Avodah Zarah, I don't want it in my house. So I'm asking you to wash your feet. And by washing your feet, you prove it's not an Avodah Zarah, because although you wouldn't wash off the Avodah Zarah. So therefore, obviously, it's not Avodah Zarah. So that's your own kipeda. So in a case, what was Moshe? Why did Rebbeinu Shem not send them people like normal days? He had to send them malachim because he wanted to save them work. He wanted them. He was talking to put them in mitzvahs. He was that sick. He had to be laid up, and therefore Rebbeinu Shem wanted they shouldn't have a guilt conscience, and he's going to keep away all the people. Instead, what did Avraham Avinu do? He jumped out of bed and went looking for the people. So it was, to the need of the people, he was such a Baal Chesed that the need of the person so activated him that he can overcome his pain. Right? So that's all about what he needed for food you drink, to wash their feet. I can get activated for that. That's a personal kapeda. It has nothing to do with it's not an emotional thing. So if that's the case, so I can't activate myself to get out of bed. So I said to the shifcha, Yikach nomat mayim, please bring them some water to wash their feet. So what was wrong with that? I mean, that's all he could do. So therefore, I don't think that's pshat in the Medrash. I think what's pshat in the Medrash is this. Not that there's any lessening of a shliach or not a shliach, but what it's trying to tell you is that when you go through a shliach, you always go through somebody else's mind. That's the definition of a shliach. And I ask you to deliver this over there. I would have gone this way, you went this way. I mean, whatever it is, but you do what you want to do. You're the shliach. So the same thing over here. I told you to speak to the rock. Now, you had a problem with that. What was the problem? In other words, what was the rock supposed to teach by speaking to the rock? What is it going to teach anybody? Like you dashed it. Why do you think that once you hit somebody or something, even a stone, the second time all you got to do is speak to it. And you guys are got to keep hitting all the time, right? So it's a good lesson. So you would have listened, you would have learned that you're not supposed to be hit a second time, and that's it. You would have learned, and you learned the lesson. That would have been a kedusha. But you didn't learn that lesson. Why? Because he hit the rock, he didn't speak to it. So like he dashed him. And what happened because of that? They were not mekabel the Torah until what do you call it, behest upon him until Purim time. But that's why they always had that piece missing by them. That they already go. But Moshe Rabbeinu said, I live with these guys. Right? You're telling me they're ready for speaking, talking to them. You see the way they talk to me? You see the way it is? You know, these guys, I can't. They deserve a good shot in the head. Why are you telling me you should talk to them? I can't talk to them. Abel, God said talk to them. I'm going to have to talk. I got to do what God said. I'm going to talk to the stone. Went to the stone, and now it doesn't work. And he sees there's a Chilul Hashem starting. People starting, yes, where's the water? What's going on? So it's in they're going to say it's limited. The Ben Shem can't do it. So he said, please, when I hit the rock, water should come out. Because if Moshe doesn't pray first, he can hit all the rocks in the world, it ain't going to let me bring out any water. So obviously, I'm a spalul that you were. So it tells what's the tainami that you weren't in the spalul, that when you speak to the rock, the next rock I speak to it, you come out. Okay. Or make sure it's the right rock. Why Taka didn't he do it? So he said, because he didn't believe in that madrega. So Kolzman was following the regular orders of speaking and was able to do that. But now, don't forget what condition he's in. He's an oval for his sister. Right? That day, it's not talking about 6 weeks later. Talking about that day. He's an oval for his sister. And the thing's not working. And these guys are giving him a hard time. So, Benishlam, please, because the thing that he's thinking about is that they don't deserve it. And that's what he did. So therefore, they amanted me. You didn't believe me that they're on the Matarege, that they could be spoken to. So therefore, through that, like you dashed them. What did you actually do? You marisem, you didn't do what I told you. And you out them by people to thinking that I couldn't do it. So therefore, all these things are what he did. But did he really do them? And something like we understand ourselves that Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's why on Sukkot, the Shiva learns that this that is talked about Mei Meriva, and we'll see even over here it's like that this is this water that he hit and that he died for. For that, we're asking a schus for us, give us the schus of that water, give us water. You think they're like, what are you asking? Because the averos of them, it's our mitzvahs. I mean, being our mitzvahs. But it's not really, it was showing it wasn't really an avera in any sense, but the chayd is a way, it's called nalila because I forced you into the avera. And by forcing you into the Avera, it's like I wanted to get you, which he did. And even though it's a good reason, but what? So why do you need the whole fury? Just kill him, right? We don't know why Miriam died, right? So, because all the other women that went out and tried and made it. So why did Miriam die? All the women in the world, she did not die. Why'd she die? She wasn't involved in the Meriv either, so what are you going to do with that? So why did she die? I don't know. For whatever reason, there was whatever the thought about it that she could die. God, Ibn Ezra says the woman did die himself. I think he's the one that says it, but everyone else disagrees with him. Because since it wasn't really a chet at all, so it's a schus, and we'll see that the what do you call it, the Heime Beriva, and then so where's the song? Yeah. Oz Yoshi Shir Yisrael Sashir Azois, right? On which bear, this one, Kahua Nedive Hom, Mchayki Ke Mishanesa, maybe not done mathematically, whatever it is, a little bit Roshik they made from there. But the idea is, this is what we're thanking God for, that they were able to make this water. And he died for this, so what are you so happy about? It's nothing to do with that. Because it's a schus, and it showed the care they had, what they call it. And you see that the bear does come back, remains in Yanani Yaakov would leave, and Yanani Yaakov would come back because of Moshe, but it has to leave to show the schus of Aaron, it leave to show the schus of Miriam. But that's what existed there. Just one point on this. The Haftarah talks about Yiftach and getting the land back and all that stuff. Now Yiftach in the last week's Haftarah, Parshas Kerach, it talks about the Chamuri Olam, the Kali Olam, that when they made the Malchus back to Shol, so he was telling them that, what you need a king for, but then every time you need a problem, they should send you guys. And who are the guys? Guys, he said, Moshe, Aaron, and Shmuel, those are the Chamuri Olam, and Rubal, Bedon, the Gidon, and Yiftach. Right? So Rubal is Gidon, and Bedon is Shimshon, and what do you call it is, so it says that since he's Keneged Shmuel, so Yiftach b'dayrei k'Shmuel b'dayrei. That means even though there's no comparison, Shmuel was the brother of Dor and the leader of the Dor, while Yiftach was the leader of the Dor, but he was an Amoritz, whatever that means, an Amoritz. Obviously he knew enough to make a nice speech over here. He's an Amoritz, he's going to say they didn't know. Because, but that's not true really. We switched around the history. We in as far as chronological order, who should be following Keneged Aaron? Yiftach. And the Keneged Shmuel should have been Bedon. He should have been Shimshon. Because Shimshon was the last one. And Yiftach's before him. So why did it go this way? I want to tie in the reason that it would change it, because he wanted to make the Drosha Shmuel B'Dorei, Yiftach B'Dorei, Shmuel B'Dorei. Because if he would have come up second, where he's supposed to be by birth, it would be Shmuel B'Dorei, Yiftach B'Dorei, Aaron B'Dorei. Aaron B'Dorei was what? The second fiddle, right? He wasn't the top man. Moshe Rabbeinu was the top man. So we would think in his case, Pinchas maybe was the top man, because Pinchas was bigger than him. That was where Pinchas and him don't get punished for those that are daughter. He made the neder that he's gonna, the first thing comes out of my house, I'm gonna be makzir for Koben. So, and what came out of his house was his daughter. He may definitely be mata, even we could be mata as Nidom, right? So he had to go to the Chacham. Pinchas was the Chacham, so Pinchas said, he needs me, so let him come to me. And Yiftach said, I'm the king. If I need him, he has to come to me. So this one didn't come and this one didn't come, and then whatever happened, so we don't know. So the machlok was what happened. But the idea is she never got married, that's for sure. Never had children, that's for sure. And it was only his daughter, so nothing was left of Yiftach at all, because it is neder. And it couldn't be mevatel. So and so the Torah is trying to the Navi is trying to tell you that really Pinchas probably should have come, and therefore Pinchas then became Kohen Gadol. The whole bunch of business what happened to Pinchas because of this. Why? Because he was Kishmol B'Darei. You have to come to him. He's the what do you call? But if you would have come, can I get out? And you would have said Pinchas. You would have said that maybe he has to go to Pinchas. Because that's I think the lesson of one's after.
Practical level thing.
Good Shabbos.